Good morning. This is the last Friday of the year, before the last Shabbos of the year. And I want to share with you a little bit what the Rabbi tells us about the importance of this day, the uniqueness of this coming Shabbos, and the potential that it has. Every month gets a special blessing the Shabbos before. It's called Birchas HaChedesh. We come to Shul. The Hasidic custom is that we say the whole Tillim early in the morning, and then after the reading of the Torah, we say Birchas HaChedesh. In this short but powerful prayer, we bless the coming year, the coming month, and in all aspects. We talk about what day Rosh Chodesh will be, and with that, we get ready for the coming month. The Alter Rebbe related, and this was in Hayom Yom as well, that when he was in Mizrich, he heard from his Rebbe, the Maggid, who heard from his Rebbe, the Baal Shem Tov, that the seventh month, because the way the months work in Torah is Nisan, the month which we have Pesach, is the first month. So Tishrei, the month that we have the high holidays, is the seventh month. So the Baal Shem Tov said that the seventh month, Hashem himself blesses it. The last Shabbos of Elul, which is this week, normally we would be blessing the coming month. But when it comes to Tishrei, Hashem himself blesses it. And with the blessing that Hashem gives for this month, he enables us to be able to bless the consecutive 11 months of the year. So for starters, this week, Hashem is blessing the month. We still say the whole Tillim. We still farbring, as is customary for Shabbos Mevarchim. However, the blessing component, that element, is something which Hashem does, and with it gives us the ability to bless all of the 12 months of the year. So it's an important time. Now, how does this work? What does this really mean? Let's understand this a little bit deeper. So the Rabbi explains that Rosh Hashanah in general is a very general time. It's called the head of the year, not the beginning of the year, because it's not just a beginning or a start or a new page, but it's really the head. Just like our head is the epicenter of the body, and everything comes from the head. In other words, the messages, the life source, the ability to function, it all comes from the head. And if God forbid something's wrong in the head, it impacts a part of the body. So you may think that you're lifting your arm, and you are, but it's not really just your arm. There's a message sent from your head to your arm to say lift up or go or touch or whatever it may be. And even on more specific levels, it all resides in the head. The year also has a head, and that is Rosh Hashanah. And the life, the sustenance, the energy for the whole year is in Rosh Hashanah. That's why it's called the head of the year, not just the beginning of the year. And the way it works is that the energy, the life source, the sustenance of the year foregone, which in this case would be 5781, goes away. And we evoke, produce, call on a new energy, a new life source. Now, by doing so, in Rosh Hashanah sense, we have the power and the ability to do something, our part, to make this world continue. You see, we understand, and Chassidus tells us, that before God created man and he created a world, there was nobody to request it. There was nobody to say, Hashem, we want a world. There was no one to deserve it. It's not like Adam was really good and he did some wonderful things. There was no Adam. Nobody was here. It was just God. So Hashem created it. But then he wanted that the people, us, we should do something to keep it going. We should earn it. We should ask for it. We should do good deeds that cause the world to continue. The difference is that when you have human effort, when you have the component of a person trying, contributing something, that's very, very valuable. So every month we bless the coming month That's our efforts. We're turning to Hashem, we're praying, we're blessing, we're trying to create a good month. Hashem appreciates that, obviously, but he gives us another push. And he helps us to do so, which is similar to the whole month of Elul. You see, Elul, the focus is on personal effort. It's not an inspirational time. It's not Rosh Hashanah. It's not Yom Kippur. You don't necessarily feel that sweeping energy or spiritual excitement, or what they sometimes call a godly high. None of that's there. It's a weekday. It's a mundane, typical going through the grind. But it's very valuable because a person on his own initiative says, hey, it's the last month of the year. Let me make some changes. It's the last week of the year. It's the last final days of the year. Let me try to look at my life, see what needs improvement, and actually implement those changes for the coming year. And that's very valuable. But the key here is that if you really think about it, you can't do it on your own. There is this value of doing it on your own. It's very special when a person goes and does their own effort, but who are we kidding? What could we actually do on our own? And Hashem gives us a little bit of a nudge, or in the parlance of Kabbalah, there is a revelation of the 13 attributes of mercy, of God's compassion that's in the world at this time. That's the concept of Hashem Kel Rachum, which is a prayer that Moshe Rabbeinu used when he was begging God to forgive the Jewish people after the sin of the golden calf. It wasn't an easy forgiveness to attain. So soon after receiving the Torah and hearing from Hashem himself not to worship idols, the Jews went and made a golden calf. So it's a big deal. But Hashem forgave the Jewish people. And Moshe used certain prayers. This is prayers that evoke Hashem's compassion. These 13 attributes of mercy, of compassion of Hashem, this powerful prayer, is something which is revealed in the world during the month of Elul. And that gives us a little bit of a nudge. Hey, it's time to get in line. It's time to do something on your own. When you do so, now you have not just personal effort, which is very valuable, and your own initiative, and doing something on your own, but you have Hashem's help with that. And that combination is very, very powerful. Dynamite. This is a similar concept to the first month of the year and the last Shabbos of the year, that Hashem is blessing it, designed to give us the ability to do our part and bless the consecutive months of the year. Now, there's an interesting thing. Why did Hashem create a world? Who needed it? So you could try to give all different types of answers, but ultimately the question remains, God doesn't need anything. He's perfect. A person may lack something. A human is hungry, and therefore they eat to satisfy something. They have a yearning, a desire, and they do something, and therefore they satisfy it. So they were not perfect till now, and now they fulfilled that void. They filled that lack, and they're better than they were before. But by Hashem, you can't say that he was missing something, and now he filled that which he was missing. He's not missing anything. Hashem is complete. It would be blasphemy to say that Hashem was missing something. So why did he create a world? So Chassidus tells us the term nis'ave. Hashem had a desire. He had an interest. And when someone has a deep desire for something, you can't really explain it. There are times when a person has a want, right? Let's use an example. You want to buy a Danish, okay? And I'm going to ask you, why do you want to buy it? And you're going to say, well, because I'm hungry. Well, if you're hungry, you could eat a banana, okay? But I like it. Okay, you're buying it because you like it. Well, there's other things that you like. Do you really like it? And so on and so forth. Ultimately, if you really dig deep into it, you'll see that there is a place that's a desire which you can't explain why it's there. You could try to rationalize it because we're rational human beings, and we feel better when something makes sense. But deep down, there is a place, there is a part of our neshama, our soul, which doesn't is not limited to logic. He just does it because he wants to. And it's not something that you could explain because there is no logic to it. In a similar manner, Hashem created the world. He wanted it. And there's no explanation for it. But it's not just about not explaining it. It tells us that it comes from a very deep place within Hashem. From a very deep place, because it's like the desire of the person. You want it, right? You wanted to buy that, let's just use a car. You wanted to buy the blue car. Why are you buying the blue car? The red car is cheaper. Well, it's a better car. Really, what's better about it? It drives better. Does it really drive better? Is it more reliable? It's all, ultimately, if you really dig deeper and deeper, you wanted it, and that's why you got it. Some deep part of you said, I want it. Okay? Sometimes there's reason, but sometimes it's just a desire. So Hashem had this desire, and he wanted that people should be in this world who have free choice, who could do the right thing or the wrong thing, could accomplish good, or unfortunately could wreak havoc and do evil and damage, and they make the right decision multiple times a day, constantly, to say, I'm going to do the right thing. That's what Hashem wanted. And that's why he created this whole world. So this idea that a person has a choice, and a person decides, and a person overcomes their inner struggles or shortcomings, whatever it may be, and does it, that's what Hashem is looking for, which again shows us the power of the person's effort, which is similar to the idea of why Rosh Hashanah is celebrated on the 6th day of the year of creation. Think about it. Hashem created the world on the 25th of Elul morning, and the world came into existence, and man was created on the 6th day, which was a Friday. Why is Rosh Hashanah celebrated on the day that man was created? Because it's really about man. It's really about the person. We learned the Maimer earlier this week about shofar, that the mitzvah of shofar has to be done by a human actually making the sound. There is the concept of human effort. It's all about the person. There's a renewal going on, and there's a need for the person to get on board and say, I'm crowning Hashem as king. I'm starting a new year. I'm taking the initiative. Because when a person does their part, the person does his thing to make it, to do what they can. And their part, that's what Hashem wants. That's part of the nis'ava, the desire that Hashem had to create a world, that people do certain things. And that's why the focus of Rosh Hashanah is not when Hashem created the world, but it's when he created man. And this is expressed in the idea of Shabbos and Baruch Tishrei, because we don't bless the month, Hashem blesses the month. But with it, he's giving us the ability that we should be able to bless the coming months of this coming year. I'm talking about Rosh Hashanah being on the day man was created, which was a Friday. We find an interesting thing, that every day of creation, Hashem said, Ki tov. Hashem said, good, it was a good day. But on Tuesday, he said twice, Ki tov. It was very good. Okay, he said a double, and we refer to this concept often. The Rebbe mentions this a lot, that Tuesday has this unique quality that it says twice the concept Ki tov. The Rebbe says, 1 second. On Friday, it also says twice Ki tov, and yet we don't focus on that so much, and we don't mention it all the time. It says even Tov Ma'id, it was great. So why don't we have that element? It's specifically focused on or emphasized regarding Tuesday, and not regarding Friday. The Rebbe refers to this as a klutz kasha, which is something which is perhaps obvious or not an important question to the initial assumption, but really there's a lot of depth to it. And the Rebbe says, it wasn't spoken about. The Rebbe explains that on the one hand, you could say that second time it says on Friday good goes on the whole creation, not just regarding that particular day. So after the whole thing, he said, this whole day was good. But really the reason why Tuesday has a double time Ki tov is because on Monday there was a machlekes. On Monday there was a fight, an argument, a discord, because when there was a separation between the waters, the higher waters and the lower waters, that separation is the idea of, I'm going to call it loosely, a fight, but a disagreement or a a opposite of peace. And because of that, there was a lacking of good. It was missing this tov part. So Tuesday represents the bringing together, the uniting, because we're saying, I'm going to say double good, which comes out that because Monday had that difficulty to it, the Tuesday, which came afterwards, had a special level to it, which is the idea that darkness sometimes has a quality that the light that comes after it is much greater than the light that comes on its own. It's like you have sweetness. Honey is sweet. But when you transform bitterness into tasty, it's a very different type of sweetness because the transformation does something to it. And that's why Tuesday is so special, is because it follows the Monday problem. That's what Tshuva is about. Tshuva tells us that a person didn't do something or did something wrong, and now they're going to change. It's not just, okay, I fixed what I did, but I'm in a better place than I was before. So Tshuva becomes a very powerful tool. It leads a person to a very special place, because without the mess up, they wouldn't be able to get there to the state of Tshuva where they are now. And that's what Tuesday is. The idea of it's a double kitay because it comes after the problem of Monday. And this is why Friday is so special, because Friday was the day that man was created. Who does tshuva? It's the human. And then the human was designed, as we saw by Adam Arishan on the very first day of his life, that he messed up. The human is not perfect, but we have the ability to do tshuva. So when it comes the last Shabbos of the year, the last opportunity for this year, we recognize that it's the combination of a person doing his own effort, but Hashem giving us the push to be able to do it, because the power and the ability that a Yid has once he is putting in his own effort is really accomplishing the purpose of creation, of what it's all about. We'll just conclude real quick the idea of numbers. When you have one, it says like this: one is the beginning of numbers, and two is the beginning of separation. Because when you have two, now you have two opinions. You have two different ways. There's two, okay? And three is the idea of combining. Two is not yet combination, okay? When you have only one thing, you can't measure and say, is it a good thing, is it a bad thing? And nothing to compare it against. It's just one. This is it, okay? When there's two, then you start to measure and you start to decide which one's greater, which one's better, and so on and so forth. That's when you have separation, problems, issues, because you start to compare. And you could even find that the two things are opposites. They're different because you have two. When you had one, you didn't have that problem. When you have number three represents combining. If it's done right, then number three tries to bring the one and the two together. Okay, so one, there's nothing to compare it to. Two is comparison, sometimes contradiction and separation, problem. Three is that level where a person says, I'm going to combine the differences. And this is the idea of the third day. By the way, this year Rosh Hashanah, the first day of Rosh Hashanah is on Tuesday, is the idea of combining together where it's good for the heavens and good for the earth. It's good for spiritual, it's good for material, it's good for God, it's good for man. Because if you think about it, heaven, which represents spirituality, and earth, creations, which represent humans and materialism, could be opposites. But the day three, which is why it says twice kitayv, is the ability to combine these two parts. Now, in order to have this, you need to have a combination in many different levels, which is the power that a Yid has when you have the neshama in us. That neshama gives us the koyach, the ability to rise above and have the connection or the combining of these two things, of heaven and earth, of man to Hashem. And in all levels, there should be a unity and a combination, and it should truly be kitayv in a way that Hashem gives us a good year, a blessed year, a year that's from Hashem's abundant hand all good in a revealed way. Thanks for joining. Have a good Shabbos. I'll see you again soon.